You can get one of the most powerful sets in God of War Ragnarok through an easy to miss side quest. In this video we're gonna take a look at a few more items that can really change how you play, including being able to face tank enemies and then using that against them to become almost immortal. There are going to be some slight spoilers in this video, so proceed with caution, and in case you haven't played through these sections yet, maybe come back at a later date. As always, if you like this video, a sub to the channel would be great, and let's dive right in. Now, the first one we're going to talk about is the armor of the Guiding Light. This one looks friggin' amazing, and it comes with a weapon blasting perk on the chest piece, which basically has a pretty good chance to increase strength, runic power, and luck on any of your other weapons. But to get this, you need to have come back to Midgard the second time once you get to explore the Lake of Nine. So you get it from a favor called Guiding Light, where you have to read some runes on the breeze from Tyr's statue. The earliest you can start is right near the shore's travel point right here, after going through some of these metal debris onto the other side. You still have to burn some vines here to reveal the hidden text, and there's going to be a first piece of the set on the ground right in front of it, so definitely make sure you grab it. From this point on, it's just a matter of following the quest markers and get the remaining pieces from the ground next to some of these remaining runes. So this includes the one near the broken helmet of Tyr east of his temple, with the breastplate being located on the ground right next to this bonfire. Then you can find the gauntlets north of the temple, and these are located somewhere in the snow next to these rocks. And finally, the one southeast of the temple will give you a Jotunheim essence. If you find two more, this will increase your max rage based on your vitality. But as I've said, the armor set is pretty amazing, and the buff it gives you is also very strong and noticeable. The only downside is that it randomly affects any of your current weapons, even the ones that are not equipped. So say you play with the axe and all of a sudden you see that the buff is affecting the blades, well, in that case you're kind of forced to switch to the blades to benefit the most out of it, which works if you already switch between weapons often and take advantage of the weaknesses that they provide to enemies. But it can also trigger for the current weapon, and when it does, it's like pretty much a godsend. You're just destroying everything left and right, and it's really awesome. The other two set pieces come with Fortune Strike, which makes your melee attacks to have a chance to also critical strike, dealing damage explosions. But I'm going to be honest, I have not noticed a single difference in this case, so I'm not sure if the effect is too small or I'm just not seeing it, but it sounds like it is quite powerful. Now, the next armor set is even more insane. This is called the Steinbjorn armor, and it's possibly the best one right now in God of War Ragnarok, as it gives you infinite heals and it kind of transforms you into a face tanking, well, tank. But there's some slight spoilers ahead, so if you don't want to see that, maybe turn back and come back at a later date. Because to get this, you need to do a side quest also in Midgard, but to open that side quest, you need to get the third weapon, which is basically the spear. So what you have to do in this case is to head over right here in Midgard, just below Tyr's temple, which shouldn't be too far from the nearby Mystic Gate. Here you will see a crack in the rocks, and you can blow that with the spear to reveal a hidden entrance. And here is where you will find the item needed for the quest. It's called a mystical heirloom, and this is going to activate hidden troll statues that are kind of like these boss fights that you have to fight against. The first troll boss is going to be located in the same Midgard right here at the derelict outpost. You should have this area opened by now, and the troll will be sitting frozen by these walls, so all you have to do is to wake him up using the mystical heirloom that you just got. These guys aren't too difficult, but you have to be careful about the spin that they do with the big pillar. But once you take them down, this is going to drop for you 2 slumber stones. You're going to need 2 more to complete the set. The second encounter is going to be in Vanaheim, around this beach right here in Noatun's garden, and you can just take the river route back from the Mystic Gate in the area. Once here, you have to fight with 2 trolls at the same time, one resistant to ice and the other to fire. So my suggestion is to pick one, use the opposite effects of its armor, and try to take him down ASAP before moving to the next one. And if you get stunned or something, just use the rage, just in case you get downed. Once both of these enemies are defeated, not only do you get the Slumber Stone, but also a Momentous Stride Amulet enchantment in case you want some of that. The third and final encounter can be found in Alfheim in the second unlockable region called the Forbidden Sands, and you can find the troll in the small gap west of the map right here. This one also drops a different enchantment as well as the fourth and final stone needed to craft the whole set. And once you're done with that, you can head over at any nearby workshop and craft the entire set right away. And as you can see, it already starts with level 6 and will buff your defenses really nicely. Which comes in handy because, I mean, just the chest piece has 123 of that, but it also comes with the perk called Bloodthirsty Retaliation. So the text mentions that after a significant damage is taken, Kratos' attacks will restore some lost health for a time. But I've tested this and it basically activates all the time, no matter what type the attack and what damage it does. A simple scratch is enough to trigger what's basically an almost 5-second lifesteal, and if you can go uninterrupted for those 5 seconds, many times you can more than make up the entire health drain that you just lost. And even if you do get interrupted, another hit and the perk activates once more, so it pretty much goes in endlessly. The only thing about it is that you cannot trigger a new one while the duration of a current one still exists. By the way, I highly recommend combining this with Raven tier wrist and waist pieces to get 30% more healing out of this effect, and then you truly maximize your healing potential and how much you can get out of it. And I also suggest high AoE skills like the Cyclone of Chaos that can just bring your HP all the way up in case you're surrounded by enemies and got down on your HP. On the other hand, the waist and the bracers come with a stunning retaliation effect. Whenever you get hit by an enemy, there is a chance to stagger and inflict stun on them. In practice, it looks something like this. If the enemy hits you, your armor reacts, causing a small shockwave to appear, which then flinches them back and causes their stun bar to slightly fill. I guess this is a way to play into that full non-dodging, non-parrying, face-tanking character that some people might come to appreciate, and it definitely comes in handy with the heals. And finally, this brings us to a really awesome and possibly one of the strongest side weapons in God of War Ragnarok, but unfortunately it's not going to be for Kratos. So as well as with the previous point, this is also spoiler heavy, so maybe come back at a later date, so here it goes. But in this case, you can get a very strong sword for Freya called Mardol that basically gives her the same Bifrost debuff that enemies cast on you. So to get this sword, you have to finish her final favor in Vanaheim called Missing Piece right here near the Goddess Falls. You will need to have opened the blocked area ahead beforehand, so make sure that you do that first from this location in the Cliffside Ruins. This is the same one that we also used to get the Lunda armor. Here you will see some vines that you can burn using her hex arrows and then use the chains to climb up. Once there, simply break the sigil and have Freya cast the spell to open up the area. From this point on, all you have to do is to follow her quest. It's pretty lengthy and filled with mini bosses, but also worth it because at the end of it you get a very special cinematic and the sword. I immediately went ahead and upgraded this because it's so very powerful. Basically, it debuffs enemies and you will see if it's afflicted by its distinctive purple glow over their HP bar. And once you hit that enemy again, it's going to cause a nice rip of health right there for even more damage. You will not be disappointed by this weapon and by this companion because it is that strong. And this is pretty much it with the list. Totally leave a like and subscribe for more God of War Ragnarok guides and tips. As always, thanks so much for watching, and until next time.